I don't know if you've ever met a king before, but I have. The first time I met the king, I was in Montana, and my girlfriend at the time was introducing me to her father. Of course, he did become my father-in-law, and almost 30 years have passed since I met the king. Of course, their last name was King. The king took me out in the wilds of Montana, away from Great Falls, some 20 miles or so, into the dark and into the open space. It was the dead of winter. It was probably 20 below zero, and he wanted to find out who I was. And there in the car, in the cold, we talked, and I summoned the courage to ask him permission to marry Janelle, my wife now. It could have gone very badly. I recognize he could have probably kicked me out of the car and told me to get back on a plane, go back to New York. But it went very well. The king had mercy on me, and I'm thankful. And we became very, very good friends, and as well as always remaining son-in-law and father-in-law. The earthly kings of Jesus' day raged against him. You think about that in terms of when Jesus was born. He was born a king. He was born in the line and succession of David. He was the rightful heir to the throne, and there was an impostor on the throne of Jerusalem. King Herod the Great, who was not so great. He ended up killing his own children at some point. Not all of them, but some of them. And he ended up killing all the young children of Bethlehem in order to try to get Jesus, after the Magi came and asked, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews?" King Herod the Tetrarch, in Jesus' lifetime, tried to control Jesus by fear and by getting him to do things like miracles for him, but Jesus wouldn't perform for Herod. And Satan also tried to get Jesus to bow down and worship Satan as king, in exchange for a false promise of all the kingdoms of the world. The people tried to make Jesus into a political king. They tried to make him into a king that would provide all their bread and necessities of life after he fed the 5,000, and make him into a military king. But Jesus did not come to be a king to rule at that time in that way, as military rule. And so we look into the scripture in Psalm 2, and we still see that Jesus is a king. He is a king, and he has power and authority. And that power and authority is reserved now for the second coming, in which there will be a divide between those that are in favor with the king and those who are under the king's wrath. And so when we look in Psalm 2, keep that in mind. Here we have insight into who Jesus is. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. Then he rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy hill. And then the scene kind of shifts just a little bit. I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He said to me, You are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will rule them with an iron scepter. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise, be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you be destroyed in your way, for his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. I suppose to some extent I was very, very thrilled that the King did not kick me out of the car, and that we could become married later on and then have a wonderful marriage and time together as family and I could be included in the King family. It's a very good story that way. Our King, Jesus, was crucified. He died. He rose again. Our King gave his life for you. For all who will come under the submission of Jesus Christ as King, he doesn't kick us out of the car, but rather he includes us in the family of God. And our King is our friend, if we believe. But wrath remains on those that do not believe, and the second coming will be the full expression of that wrath. And the wrath of God, as we saw in Psalm 2, in Jesus Christ, is real. Be warned, be wise, serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you be destroyed in your way. Destruction. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. You can be blessed by taking refuge in the King Jesus Christ.